Hello!
Hello!
Welcome to another episode of Film Critters Processes
Midsommar. Another episode of it.
Another episode
We're just gonna,
of Midsommar.
I hope you're ready for our 10-part series on Midsommar.
A Midsummer's Cut. A Midsummer's Cut.
A Midsommar's Cut. Now with 40 more minutes
Yeah.
of gaslighting.
Uncut. Gaslighting.
Bigger, longer, and uncut.
X-rated.
Midsommar. This isn't the version of Midsommar your boyfriend wants you to see.
So yeah, we were very fortunate. By the way, I am Barroo.
I am Jae Barroo, as always.
As fucking always.
As it fucking be.
If you have never met us, we are podcaster morons.
YouTuber
dipshits.
Yeah. Professional dumbasses and dumbass associated individuals.
Yeah, pretty much. And we do a bit of a film retrospective review podcast. It's not really retrospective. It's retrospective to the film I watched a couple weeks ago.
Retrospective as of like a week ago.
Yeah, you know? And we were very fortunate enough to be in a city that saw screenings of Midsommar Director's Cut.
Yeah, Director's Cut with almost brought it up from 2 hours 20 minutes to 2 hours.
It was over 3 hours.
Was it?
One of our friends who we brought with us to the screening, by the way, they sat down and I was like, and I'm gonna anonymize. They were like, "I'm so high," and I was like, "Yeah, well,
picked the wrong movie for that one."
Have fun, get strapped in for the next 3 hours." And they were like, "Oh my god, it's 3 hours."
This is the same friend who also got really high before we went and saw The Farewell.
Oh no!
They just are like, "I can smoke weed here. I want."
That's fair.
Weed is a sometimes movie.
Yeah,
enhancer.
I did not find myself doing dab rips prior to The Farewell. I was not hitting the...
Just hitting that vape.
I was not hitting the booth for Midsommar Director's Cut. I regret to inform y'all. But
Something you were hitting.
Something I was hitting was that
emotional
motherfucking emotional... Yeah, you know? I was hitting that like button on this movie because I liked it.
And I hit the bell notification to let me know...
of when it uploads more movies.
When the 5-hour cut is coming.
Where is it, Ari Aster, you fucking bitch? Yeah.
You promised us more about Ruben, and there was not more about Ruben in this fucking movie. Why is he there?
Why?
What is your fucking issue, Ari?
Justify yourself before the court of public opinion.
Before the court? Do. I'm banging my rubber hammer. Do. Justify yourself.
You will be hanged by your ears from the posting gallows.
You'll get the Blood Eagle treatment.
God, you'll get hereditary.
We did have another friend who came and saw the Director's Cut with us and had told me after, they were like, "Yeah, I thought the Blood Eagle thing, I got to that scene and I was like, all right, what? That's come on, what is this? Careful, yeah. All right, Hostile." And then looked it up and was like, "Oh shit, that's real."
Yeah. No, it's really it's so gratuitously disgusting and horrifying
that it feels like a cartoon.
Yeah,
it feels like, oh, this is a Hostile thing, and then you're like, no, that's a real execution.
Yeah,
method.
But we're not here to talk about Midsommar.
We're here to talk about
Midsommar deleted scenes.
Deleted scenes. What would you say is one of the biggest changes that the Director's Cut? Because I will say the Director's Cut be hitting different.
It does. It absolutely really does. I will say my one sentence kind of overall takeaway from the Director's Cut is fuck Christian.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Really what I felt bad because a friend of ours, I keep bringing up friends, but we made everyone see this movie. Some people I know went and saw the Director's Cut. And afterwards, they were like, yeah, we didn't see the original. What was the difference? And I was like, and they had mentioned that they had watched our previous video on it. And I was like, okay, all this stuff I said in the original commentary on this movie about how Christian and Danny's relationship is really ambiguous in a lot of ways, and that they're kind of both at fault. Very wrong.
Totally out the
Totally
window.
misread that. Not misread it, because that's what is in the theatrical cut. Director's cut, no, just every added scene with Christian is him being way worse to Danny, to people around him.
It's like I had this kind of selfish want of like I wanted scenes of Christian being sweet to Danny.
That's what those were some of the scenes I thought were going to be added.
Yeah, like more nuance to their relationship, more things that would make Danny be like, all right, I'll stay, you goofball, like, you know. And there, I would say there's like 5 seconds of that, and then a fucking boatload of like.
One of the things I pointed out in the previous one, where it's like, there's this really sweet scene where Danny brings him flowers, and he's like, "Oh, did you pick those?" And she's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Do you walk backwards while doing it?" Yeah, and it's like a cute interaction. Yeah. Completely different meaning in this one, because then in the scene that's not in the theatrical cut, he like specifically brings that up as like a point of how she's a bitch.
Yeah, no, because it's like, oh, you gave me this gift, so
and
like,
now I
you're
feel like
such
I have to give you something back.
I have to fucking this exchange. I can't handle this. This is so fucked up. Like
just like him casting wildly for anything to blame her for.
Yeah, and literally in that scene, it's fucking insane how different this cut is, and how valuable it is to me to have been able to see both versions as a person who, spoilers, loves this film. I've now seen director's cut is technically my third time watching it.
But you saw I remember you saw the theatrical cut twice beforehand. Yeah.
So just the added context of like Danny being so cogent and so just like, oh yeah, no, this is the devaluation phase, and you're just not saying that you don't love me anymore.
Yeah.
And Christian just being like, that's bullshit. Of course I love you, but you're a bitch. And I hate you.
I did love that in this cut, they expand more on the idea of like anthropology students be like, psychology students be like.
Yeah.
Like that whole scene of just like, because it's like, she's right, but I do love him immediately being like, you're doing the thing that psychology students do, where you're like, I learned this in class.
It's so fucking good. Like, what an amazing, like, writer. First of all,
it makes the whole film. So on its own, I'd say if you had a choice, like you're like, I don't want to watch 5 hours of a movie when it's the same movie twice, and you like have a choice, definitely the director's cut.
Yeah, I'd say it's actually definitive.
I feel like a lot of the biggest critiques I heard of the first movie, not in the director's cut.
No, I agree.
A lot of the original critiques of sort of like, oh, the pacing's weird, it feels kind of dreamlike, the characters don't feel as fleshed out, which I think was bullshit for the for the theatrical cut. But in the director's cut, you see a lot more of like, oh no, he wrote these things that people criticize the theatrical cut for not having.
Here's more breathing room for the development. Here's like
all of the characters are more sketched out. The cult is given more of a sense of like evil.
And hey, this movie's about Nazis.
Yeah.
We're talking about Nazis here.
Yeah. Like, which is like, that was something I'd brought up. I was like, yeah, I'd read that the original script had more, and like going in with that framework, it's like you can definitely see it, but it is in the director's cut a lot more explicit. Like, no, this is like a pseudo-Nazi cult. And it actually is played off in a really well way where it makes the anthropology students sort of like arrogance at this idea that they could just observe this without being affected by it.
Yeah.
Like they do a lot more to like tease out like why that's a very arrogant Western sort of approach to this kind of thing.
God, yeah. And it makes it so much more like darkly funny that she's a psychology student. And she like falls into this shit the hardest out of anybody.
Like, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, like she falls for the recruiting even faster.
Yeah, and she sees the warning signs because there's like my brain races. There's so much shit. Sorry. I'm a big fucking nerd about this movie.
It's so good. It's so good. Definitely, even if you've seen the theatrical cut, see the director's cut.
Watch the director's cut, please.
Unless you absolutely hated the theatrical cut, because then I don't know if this would add anything for you.
Yeah, for real. Like, there's explicitly a scene added in. Like, obviously we're spoiling shit. Blah blah blah. Whatever. You know what you're here for. But there's a scene where Danny specifically asks about the secret Nazi language of the Uthark book that Josh's character is holding on to and reading through. And Josh says, like, yeah, I carry this around to piss off Pele.
I forgot about that.
Which is maybe one of my favorite lines in the movie. And along with, I taught you how to use JSTOR.
Yeah, you didn't even know how to use JSTOR. You're a grad student. Such a good line. So
my
glad he got to
God.
put it back in.
Yeah, it is unbelievably good. But yeah, that whole sequence where it's like Pele being like, or Josh being like, ha ha ha, this shit reminds me of Nazis, and Pele being like, ha ha ha, you're already brainwashed.
Yeah.
Like, and Josh just being like, oh. It's really good, and it's such a cool like psychological play of just like they really just stare danger in the face. They really are so egotistical to think that they're like above conditioning and above their context and surroundings that they just plunge themselves into.
Which really, I also felt like very like, yeah, in my original take where I was like, I think this film is also like, I said before, it's like, I think it's a mistake to just read this film in a very narrow pop feminist lens that people are giving it, where it's like, because it is about a breakup and it is about a shitty boyfriend. Mm-hmm. But I was like, but I think people are missing that the film is also about
so much more
how shitty experiences leave you open to like exploitation and recruitment into evil. And I think just reading it as like feminist, like girl power is like really missing that like there's a very good second like butt to this film. And I was like, yes, I was correct. This film really is about like, people criticize like it's not really, he's just using folk horror aesthetics. But I think he like uses the idea of like, he says like, what happens in a folk horror film.
Yeah.
And he uses that textually to be like, these characters know what happens.
Yeah.
They know what's going to come. They know what's happening into everything they walk into, but they think that it won't happen to them. Mm-hmm. So which leaves them just as open to, being killed or being pulled into this cult.
Absolutely.
So good.
It's so, God, it's so textured. It's really nuanced. And it just feels like it's a satisfying movie to watch. Even if it is kind of just a movie that's being like, hey, there are no support networks in society.
Yeah.
Like, or rather, like, the ones that we have are so strained and so underutilized and so underprotected. And, like, we need to, like, be looking out for ourselves and for each other as far as just, like, mental illness and exploitation. Because, like, it touches on this, like, moment of America in very recent history, and throughout its history, like, really dropping the ball on mental illness, bar none. Like, we talked in another episode about like the Prozac nightmare, like like the nightmare of the pharmaceutical industry, and how people come to mistrust healthcare because of industry, and like all of this shit that like Midsommar kind of looks toward, or rather is like an acknowledgement of. And really, really cogent about in a way that I super appreciate.
And this is definitely an episode to watch in conversation for a previous one, because I don't want to go over the same points I made about like, oh, here's the ways the cults are like two-faced and stuff, because it's like that's part of it as well. Is that's like, I think it ties into that, because it's like, hey, when we leave vulnerable people in our populations open and without support, the people who are going to be there to support them aren't going to have their best interests in mind either.
100%.
And I think that's a big element of what the force of the cult is supposed to represent, is like, this is the ways in which people are exploited and brought into larger projects and able to justify evil. While also, at the same time telling a breakup story.
Yeah.
At the same time kind of acknowledging, burning all your ex's stuff, kind of a crazy ass move to do.
Yeah. For real. And I mean, it's kind of a slap to the face, and it's a narrative that feels very kind of like self-reflective in this really intelligent way, of just like, hey, like, you're not gonna reinvent the wheel. The answer is communication. Yeah. Like, I just really love movies where that's the narrative, and that's kind of the thesis of what they say. And I think just like everything that they added would just helped so much more toward what they were doing.
The thing I really love about that is the thing I talked about, so again, I talked about in the previous one where it's like Danny's thing is that she won't communicate her fears that Christian just wants to break up with her because she's afraid of it being true. And what I like about the director's cut is that she does do that. And that she straight up says, "Are you trying to break up with me?" And that's not in the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
And what I like about that is that it reframes her behavior that's in the theatrical cut that we don't see, which is that like, oh, the way she responds around Christian isn't just, a person who's anxious and doesn't want to communicate what they're fear of because they don't want to deal with the fact of what if that fear is true.
Yeah.
She's fully willing to have that conversation, but she's been conditioned by Christian to like reflexively like apologize, to reflexively like try to soothe him, to reflexively like, she's constantly made to feel, and it's shown very early on in the film, that if she brings these kinds of things up, he turns it around on her and makes her feel guilty for it. The extended scene where you see the way he invited her along, which is he lies and says, "Oh, this was going to be a romantic surprise, and you ruined it by thinking it was weird that I didn't tell you." Completely changes.
It changes the whole fucking
completely changes
movie.
the entire movie.
It's like 30 more seconds in that scene, and it is like insane.
Yeah.
Like I can't even. Oh my god.
Because like the way it's cut in the theatrical cut, like they have their argument, and then it cuts well before that conversation starts, and it's just to the scene of Christian being like, "By the way, she's coming, but she's not coming.
Right.
But I did tell her that she's coming."
Yeah.
And so the assumption that like I had read into it is that they had continued to have an argument.
I had the same assumption.
Yeah, you had the same one. Yeah, it's like that they
like had mutually
decided like, "Oh, well, do you want to come?" Like, that it had been like him kind of like grasping for straws, being like, "Oh, well," to try to like end the conversation before it came up
to like soothe her, maybe.
Yeah. Or that like maybe she had asked, she was like, "Well, like I'm free. Would it be okay if I came?" And him not wanting to say no, being like, "Yeah." Like you'd assumed it had been some sort of like him backing off from being honest about what's going on led to him inviting her. But no, the dialogue is completely different than what you expect. It's him straight up being like, "Oh yeah, I actually was gonna invite you, and like now you're being weird about it, and it was gonna be like a huge romantic thing, and like you're just being so paranoid."
It's so shitty.
It's so shitty.
It's like I my jaw dropped. I was like, oh, so okay, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We were seeing it with people who hadn't seen the theatrical cut, and I had to lean in and be like, okay, that last like half of this scene was not in the theatrical cut. That completely changes their dynamic.
It's such a change. And God, just Christian die.
Yeah, no, it's you're immediately like, oh shit, he did deserve it.
He deserved one right between the fucking eyes. And like at the obviously like he didn't. That's the point of the movie. But like it just makes everything so much more raw and so much rougher that he just has, I don't know, he just has so much confrontational anxiety and just so much preemptive fear of emotion and of like not being able to like I don't know, I guess like low self-esteem, like I'm never gonna be able to be a good partner or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely see it as like it's an extension of the thing that like Josh's character calls him out on the beginning, where he's like, "Are you just inventing this drama to distract yourself?"
Yeah.
Where I feel like Christian's ultimate character flaw is that he essentially continues to pursue and create situations that are going to cause conflict and stress in his life, so that he doesn't have to do work on himself.
Attention, please.
Yeah, attention, please.
Attention now.
He doesn't have to break up with Danny because Danny will always be there to give him attention, and risk having to put in work to build a new relationship with someone on his actual personality.
Yeah, it's all just like a weird like distraction for him, and like facing his real problems is kind of inconceivable.
He creates a conflict with Josh where we're going to work on the same project, knowing fully well that it's going to piss Josh off and that he's just going to be bumming off of Josh's notes.
Yeah.
Because then he doesn't have to put in the work of actually doing his own research and risking failing.
It lends so much justification. I thought it was kind of a stupid joke the first time I saw Midsommar, but it lends a lot of justification to Will Poulter's character Mark.
Yeah.
Saying like this is literally abuse of his girlfriend needing attention for once. Like for the first time.
Yeah.
Like and like him needing to provide for like her emotional needs, which are extremely fucking valid.
Yeah.
She has like a mentally ill family member and like is going through an extreme crisis.
And doesn't have any support, and it's very clear that her sister doesn't have any support network.
Yeah. And for it to be framed like and also with the director's cut, I go back to that line, the like it's literally abuse thing, and I'm like, fuck, so true to life. Like calling someone abusive for cutting you off from further attention from them when their attention is just like causing you to want more of their attention and not get better.
Yeah.
Like, fuck's sake.
God, it's such a good dense movie. Also, in the director's cut, I love that Mark just gets more scenes of being a dipshit.
Yeah.
Just more scenes of just being the most obnoxious cartoon bro. The
For real.
fucking added in dubbing of after the scene where the seniors jump to their deaths, of instead of just him standing outside of the barn and being like, hey, what's up? He's watching like clickbait videos on his phone about like top 10 like ways. Yeah, top like number 10. Like this guy was getting head from a hot babe on the road when he rear-ended someone and she bit his dick off. Now that's a mouthful.
Now that is a casual encounter. He won't soon forget.
Oh, it's so funny.
And it's
so funny.
It's voiced crucially by Ari Aster.
It's Ari
which is very funny.
I desperately want to believe that he added that in when he was getting a director's cut and that it was never in the original, but he was just like, this is funny. I want to do this now.
Yeah. It's so fucking funny.
Especially because then it's immediately afterwards. He's like, in another added scene, he's angry. He's like, I can't believe you let me miss that. Like everyone else is like traumatized or like having a weird reaction to it. And he's just like, what the fuck? Old people were jumping off cliffs and I didn't get to see it.
I didn't get to see the fucking real life e-fuck video.
Yeah, it's so funny. Adds so much to his character.
God. He literally, someone like tells him what happens and he's like, what? Or something,
Yeah,
like some shit like that. It's like, it's literally the most cartoonish.
My other favorite one is just like, for no reason, he just adds back in one line when he's talking about the guy, when they're like, at one of the times when they're at the dinner tables, there's just an extra line added in where he just goes like, what do you think would happen if I just stuck my finger up that dude's butt? Like, there's no context for him to say it.
Oh
he
my
just
God.
says it to be crude, and it was like, that line was not in the original version of this scene.
His character is just butthead.
Yeah, he's so funny. It's such a funny addition to the movie.
God.
Which is great, because it adds a much needed, like, level of comedy that I think the theatrical cut is it has, but has a lot less, in the same way Hereditary had comedic moments to relieve tension.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think every edition like
there was perfect.
Served a purpose.
Yeah, there was nothing where I was like, oh, I can see why this was cut.
Yeah.
Like, at first I was like, oh, I can see why they cut this scene with the ritual about throwing a kid in the water, but then that sets up like the really important conflict that Danny and Christian have, but also it like sets up Danny as the character in a folk horror film who says, we need to get the fuck out of here, and everybody else goes, no. Which was something that was missing from the original, was her being more like, hey, something's fucking weird is going on here.
Yeah. Which, God, I honestly think that makes her arc like so much more pronounced and so much more interesting.
Yeah.
For her to swing like full, like for her to turn 360 degrees and walk away from this cult, as it were, and just like be like totally against it and then like in it,
yeah, immediately in it,
and like in the same way like Christian's arc of just being like, yeah, no, bro, we gotta stay, like
this is so important, and they're
important. I gotta do my fucking thesis.
It's just like their culture, you know.
And that girl's hot. I mean, what?
Yeah. We gotta address.
Okay, there's an elephant in the room here.
There's an elephant in the room. There's the most wild completely changes so much of Christian's character. The girl he fucks in the director's cut is 15.
The problematic gold nugget that we found in the lake. I swear to God, Ari Aster, if you didn't think we were gonna cleave your fucking head off, now's the time, pedophile.
No, I think it was good, actually. I think it was...
I mean, like, I don't know, it's...
It to me, the thing I like about it is because it's added into the scene where they're talking. Because like I talked to people who didn't even catch that, who saw the theatrical cut as well.
Yeah.
In the scene where Pele tells him, "Oh, I think my sister has a crush on you," and the director in the theatrical cut, he's like, she got she got permission from the elders to like breed with an outsider, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Or to like have sex with an outsider. Some like weird thing where it's like, and don't worry, like the cult already says she can fuck whoever she wants. The like extra like 4 words that were cut from the theatrical cut are, even though she's 15.
Yeah.
Which like immediately changes Christian's hesitance from, oh, he doesn't want to cheat on Danny, to, oh, he knows he can get away with having sex with a 15-year-old girl, but he knows it's fucked up to do, but he wants to.
So, like, the thing about this plot addition, it is definitely troubling, and it is definitely, like, very unsettling. And it damns Christian straight to fucking hell.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Like, as much as like, oh, Christian was drugged and coerced into it, it's like it changes it because it's no longer he was drugged and coerced.
He was sober when they told him that.
Yeah,
crucially,
exactly. Like that's why it changes it.
It comes right on the heels of, because like in the original cut, we talked about the incest line where Christian is like, you know, do you guys do like incest here?
Yeah.
What's the vibe? And
vibe check.
vibe check on the incest thing. And then in the director's cut, right on the heels of Christian, like voyeuristically asking about incest, this guy is like, it is essentially over a course of events communicated to Christian that like the legal age is 15. And so it is like specifically, It frames it as such a mutual exchange of information that is like mutually parasitic.
Yeah.
Where it's like Christian believes that he is kind of the objective party getting information from this cult, but the cult is actually getting information from him by what he is asking about.
Yeah.
And so since he is asking about incest, he's obviously a fucking pervert.
Yeah.
And if he's a fucking pervert, we can make him fuck this kid real easy.
Yeah, we can manipulate him.
Yeah, and it's just about manipulating.
We can create this situation where he is going to, and like the thing that's great about that too is that like that also gives the cult blackmail, so that if Danny were to decide not to have Christian killed, Christian can't walk away from the cult because the cult knows that Christian had sex with a 15-year-old girl.
God.
And like that's the other reason why I like it, is because it adds another sinister layer to the cult, because it's another thing where it's like the incest thing where they say they respect it and it turns out they don't.
Right.
It now opens the doors where it changes that scene where it's not just like we're helping this horny young girl in our cult like get knocked up. It's we specifically chose this 15-year-old girl to have sex with an older man to get pregnant. Yeah. And it changes the line where she goes like, oh, I can feel the baby in me, from some weird spiritual bullshit to like, oh, because she's 15 and she doesn't know how sex works.
Yeah.
It makes that whole scene so much more exploitative and disgusting, which is so good.
Like, the context going from just like presumably of age, like woman who is horny.
Yeah.
Who want baby. Like, it changes the movie from Burning Man to fucking like Westboro to fucking like Waco, or like it is like it's a very 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 like chilling subtext that I think like,
and it really does introduce like a probably the most damning flaw to Christian, which is that he is not immediately like, this is fucked up, I'm not doing this. It changes the fact that he takes the acid and then is preyed upon into, oh, he's taking the acid knowing fully well why they're giving it to him.
Right. Yeah.
he is taking it to give himself plausible deniability to himself.
God, yeah, because like at that point he knows what's happening, so
Yeah, like they told him explicitly, they've told him repeatedly, the cult leader has told him this is what's going to happen.
Yeah,
and he's just like, well, because he turns it down at first, and like again in the original cut, I assumed it was him,
and they're just like, no, we know you're a perv.
Yeah, like we know what you're up to.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's also like a damning thing of anthropology, of like how anthropologists will like, oh, I'm just objectively observing these like horrifically exploitative customs in this culture.
Yeah.
I did also love, like, I noticed it more that like Josh and Pele both know going into it what it's going to be and how much more it makes it fucked up that neither of them told Danny.
Yeah.
And like to different ends, where it's Josh's ends is like Josh is, unempathetic. Josh doesn't give a shit about Danny and doesn't think at all, hey, because like he specifically laughs when Christian tells him, because assumedly if he told Christian, as much of a dumbass dipshit as he is, would be like, hey, Danny, maybe don't come to this.
Yeah.
But Pele knows because Pele's fully aware that it's going to open her up more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, God. So it's just like that much more manipulative.
Somebody pointed this up in the comments. I was wrong. Pele is actually exempt from the ritual at the end. He's not one of the people in the thing that's burning. It's just a random other villager.
Oh no, yeah, because there's Ingmar, who's Pele's brother, who's
yes,
burning
that was it.
Who I can't remember if I talked about this on the original or not on our original episode. If we did, I'll cut it. But I do remember the whole thing with like Ingmar being spurned by like
Connie,
and like his whole arc with Connie being with Connie and her fiance being essentially a murder-suicide like pact, like love triangle thing, which is like really chilling.
I really love how it's there and it's enough that you can tell that that's what's going on, but it's like just not given its own narrative beyond that. But it's enough to add even more of a level of like, this isn't just a regular ritual.
Yeah.
It's like hey, bring people that you want to get revenge on.
Yeah, it's just a means to an end. And that end is just like these people's catharsis, I guess.
Because Pele is left exempt from it because he brought the May Queen, I think, is what they say.
I don't remember.
They give some reason why he's exempt from it. Because somebody had told me, it's like, no, you actually are wrong. It's not Pele in the temple at the end.
I thought they like volunteered themselves.
It might be. I'd have to re-see it again or reread it. But there's some rules and regulations they give about who's picked, basically.
Yeah. At that point, I'm just like listening to the soundtrack and just vibing the fuck out, bro. Which I've been listening to the soundtrack a lot, and it's actually I'm glad that I've seen this movie now multiple times and have gotten to like really appreciate the soundtrack. I kind of didn't like it the first time I watched Midsommar, but now I'm really into it.
It slaps.
Fire Temple is a banger.
I'm guessing that's the song that plays at the end.
It's the song that plays in the fire temple.
It's the scene that plays. It's the song that plays when Danny has to go into the fire temple to get the bow and arrow.
Yeah, God, the water temple scene really sucked out. Yeah. So I'm glad they took that. I'm glad
they cut it out for the director's cut for some reason.
God, there really was a water temple scene, and it really did kind of suck. Not really. I thought it was really interesting.
The scene when they throw the kid, when
they're about to throw the kid.
Yeah.
And it provided context, at least as far as we figure out how Connie died.
Oh yeah, she's drowned, right?
She's drowned because at the end she's wearing the same stuff that the kid was wearing.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Which is amazing context to have.
Because you hear her just give that one scream.
Yeah.
Which is probably her being thrown into the water with all the weights on her.
Yeah. And then
I didn't even think about that.
And then the next time you see her is at the end of the movie and she's dripping water everywhere.
Oh, that's so good.
Filmmaking.
What a good fucking movie. And that's good too, yeah, because like I remember when she gets wheeled out and she has the vest on that the kid is wearing in that scene, I was like, what is she dressed as? Because everyone else's outfits make sense, but it's like, oh, it's because she was dressed as a ritual that we didn't see in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I remember being so weirded out by, like, it's just so weirded out by her whole weird thing. There's a bunch of like kind of tarot imagery I've noticed. Like there's like the Fool and there's like
the scholar is who Josh is.
Yeah. It's kind of just a bunch of it's kind of just a bunch of bullshit mashed together.
That's all mythology, baby.
Yeah, exactly. In the same way that like obsessive like Western mythologizers like just kind of come up with their own history to vehemently defend, and that isn't like based in fucking reality.
When the Romans and Greeks be hanging out and listening to Vaporwave while doing math or whatever.
Oh my god. I do really like the little snippets that we get of her prior family life, because I think they're really well like realized and really artistically put together, and like
the shot of her mom just like in a night dress, like
in the hallway
at night, it's fucking good.
Yeah, it's like everything at once. It's like eerie, it's nostalgic, it's like kind of it gives the impression of like missing something but also being haunted by something. Like it's just like a simple image, I think is really effective at telling a story.
Yeah, no, no, I like how you said where it's both like being haunted, it's both like kind of scary but also nostalgic at the same time, so it just becomes this sort of blueprint of just like, this is an image of her mom she has in her mind that is like that is relevant to the memory of her mother, and that's all we get from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what makes it so powerful and such a good shot.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, not to wax personal, but I think we all have like sense memories and like specific moment memories when it comes to specific people, and yeah, like really good, just a really honest portrayal of just so many phenomena of like perception, I guess.
I love it because it just adds this way in which, like, you know, her family definitely affected her and her parents were definitely a part of her life enough so that she has these memories, but it's very intentionally, I feel like, ambiguous as to like what the meaning of those memories are.
Yeah.
And so we never really know, like, you know, what is her relationship to her parents. Like, we know that she's not estranged from them, but we don't really know, like, you know, did she have a complicated relationship? Did she love her parents? It can kind of be assumed, given like the mental health issues that she and her sister have, that her family probably also had mental health issues. And so that, at least, maybe that's me projecting, is assumed that she had a very complicated relationship to her family where she loved them, but she had mental health problems and probably so did they.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Ari Aster made a little movie, maybe you heard about it, called Hereditary.
Which, yeah, it has a lot of the same kind of running themes, and I think like Midsommar, kind of similarly to Hereditary, like I obviously they're very similar movies, and they have the same kind of structure, and they have the same kind of tragedy element going for them, and I think this one, the way this one portrays the like gradual sort of slip into madness of just like her sort of succumbing to these traumas and to these stressors, and like not really creating a framework of like dealing with grief, and like that's still her responsibility at the end of the day, is to do all of those really, really difficult things, and to move through life without needing to be like held all the time, you know,
without needing to be swaddled and numbed. And yeah. I still say that, like, to a bit, like a kind of big horror of the film is she moves from like a unhealthy relationship that gives her no support to essentially a codependent relationship.
Yeah.
With a cult.
With a cult that is lying to her.
That is absolutely lying to her, because it's what makes her feel better or gives her the emotional response that they need.
Yeah. And it's you know, I mean, it's at the end of the day a much worse crime than anything Christian did. Like, that's kind of, I guess, the point of the movie. Like, fuck Christian. He can die. Like, he can burn.
And he does. Good.
And he does. Yeah. Good. Fuck it. Kill all men. Yay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But ultimately, the cult
is way worse.
Is because just as much exploiting Danny, and is exploiting her to a much worse end.
And a very like very smartly exploiting her, and like the cult knows what she wants and is willing to like defy her in just the right ways, but like without her really noticing, and like just getting under her skin, and really effective.
If you've ever had toxic friends in your life, you might recognize this cult.
Abusive.
Danny just really needs to cut toxic people out of her life, I think.
She just needs to drink a glass of water.
I think, she was not drinking a lot of water in this film. I think this could have been avoided with a little bit of, H2O. Gallon of water today. Danny, you should have brought that gallon with the line marks on it.
Danny, you should have brought your hydro flask on your fucking trip. God damn it.
Danny,
Always forgetting the
Danny, you should have been an e-girl.
flask.
Also, rewatching this, man, Florence does such a good job. It's weird that
Florence Pugh is an incredible actress.
Yeah, really, really excited to see what else she does that isn't Marvel bullshit.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Fuck you, Florence.
Florence and the fucking Disney machine.
Yeah.
Am I right? That's the name. That's what I'm gonna call my. That's what it's gonna say on the Daily Show bumper card.
The Disney machine.
The Florence and the Disney machine.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, like the band Florence and the Machines.
Yes, I work in the Daily Show writers' room, and my name is Brent, and I shop at Whole Foods.
I work for Saturday Night Live. I'm the person who comes up with ways for whoever's hosting Weekend Update to go like, and Trump. But in different intonations, so people know whether to laugh or boo.
Yeah. So to be honest, I think we've covered everything that's basically new about the director's cut in only a short 50 minutes.
Wow, that's longer than the amount of material that was added. I think now put together, both of our episodes of Midsommar are going to be
longer.
As long as the director's cut.
Oh, it's got to be longer. Because our fucking,
Was our first one that long? Was our first one 2 hours?
It was almost 2 hours. It was like an hour 40.
We love this movie.
We love Ari Aster. We stan. We do dare to stan.
Hey, that's how you know it's a good one. You know it's a good one when we put out something that's like over an hour for just one movie.
Yeah.
And you know it's a great one when we put out 2 videos and they're both almost or over an hour.
Yeah, for real. And oh
well, I think Us is the only one we've done 2 videos on so far, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the team, Ari Aster.
Yeah.
It's you, Jordan Peele. That's it.
That's it. Those are the 2 filmmakers that exist. I don't really know of anybody else.
Maybe the Lighthouse guy will knock it out of the park with the Lighthouse.
Yeah. Oh my god, that new trailer.
It looks so fucking good.
I want it to be gayer than I know it's going to be. And
I don't know. The Witch is kind of gay.
The Witch, yeah.
It's just a scene where Willem Dafoe just fucking sucks Robert Pattinson off.
Yeah.
Why'd you spill your beans?
Why'd you spill your nut?
That's what he says when the plug comes out.
Oh my god. Yeah, The Witch fucking rules. I could watch The Witch. I could throw down and watch The Witch whenever.
It's really good.
It's so good. And so too is Midsommar.
Really good time for like horror and shit right now, actually.
It's a really good and bad time for horror.
What's bad?
It Chapter 2.
The other movie we just watched.
I think we have like really great examples of some of the best horror in history happening with Ari Aster and Jordan Peele. Even though, it's not to pigeonhole them into a genre, it just happens to be like they both have made 2 incredible horror films. I would also argue the dude who's doing the new Hansel and Gretel movie. I still really like Blackcoat's Daughter and I Am the Pretty Thing. I'll check it out. I'll check it out on your recommendation.
Have you not seen either of those yet?
I haven't seen Blackcoat's Daughter.
I forget. What did you think? I really liked I Am the Pretty Thing because it reminds me of a Shirley Jackson book.
Yeah, I thought I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House was too short. And I didn't think there would. I think it didn't give the main character enough like breathing room, and I also think it kind of was a little bit. It wasn't ballsy enough about being a movie about one person in a haunted house. You know what I mean? Where
yeah.
It's like, oh man, this won't be entertaining, and it's like it could be if you write it good enough.
I was entertained, but
I was
of wee brain.
Like aesthetically, I think it's fucking awesome.
I will say Blackcoat's Daughter is worth watching for the same sort of thing, where aesthetically it's very, very good.
I'm interested if it's the same director.
Same director, and I would call it like a much rougher version of The Witch, not just in the sense of like the content, but in the sense of like it's definitely like I think his like first movie, and it definitely shows this sort of like it feels a lot choppier, but it
Yeah.
doesn't feel bad. It feels like a rougher cut movie.
Huh. All right. Shit. Good.
Well, I liked it.
Well, I'm taking a trip to Scarecrow. Or
It might be on Netflix still. It was on.
Shit.
If it's not on Netflix, it's definitely on Canopy. Anyway, horror is good.
horror is good now. We've decided.
Yeah. Has drama been good lately? Has there been any good dramas besides?
Parasite's coming out next month.
Oh fuck!
I have to pre-buy my tickets for Parasite.
Yeah, no. Let me know when you do.
Fuck. Bong Joon-ho is my favorite director, everybody. And I'm really excited for Parasite. It won the Palme d'Or. And I'm a film nerd.
That. So did Joker.
No, it didn't. Fuck you. Shut up.
Won something.
Shut your mouth.
You got like a.
Don't bring that energy in here. We
Vibe
don't
check.
need that here. We're talking about a good movie. And yeah.
Anyway, before we just talk about movies that are coming out,
What would you rather have spent your director's cut ticket price on?
fuck.
Nothing.
Seeing it a third time.
See Midsommar all over again.
God, it's hard because it's like I'm sorry, I leaned back. I'm very
did too.
glad
I don't care.
that I'm very glad that I saw the theatrical cut, even though I like the director's cut more. And I tell people I think it's worth watching them both. And I think seeing the theatrical cut first is better because it's the same story with the same beats, but
Yeah.
they are two different beasts entirely.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I will admit to a bias insofar as there is the experience of going from the theatrical cut, which I already loved, and to the director's cut, which I knew I was going to love, and clapping like a seal.
yeah. Every time a new scene happens.
Yeah, every time more of the same thing that I like is on the screen. But it's a different movie. I can't stress enough how different.
If you are not the kind of person who's willing to watch a long ass movie twice
Yeah.
because they're slightly different,
Yeah.
but very, very, again, hit very differently, I would definitely say director's cut's the way to go.
Yeah.
But I do think they're both worth watching with a little bit of time in between to process them.
Definitely. I don't know. Is there anything you would not have rather spent your $15 on?
God, It Part 2.
For real.
Fucking almost any other horror film I've seen in theaters.
It Chapter 2 theatrical cut, which is, by the way, 3 hours. But little old Ari Aster can't release a 3-hour cut in the theatrical version.
It's insane how much It Chapter 2 would have been improved by having the same aggressive editing that fucking Midsommar got.
For real? Oh my god. It didn't need to be... It was
It's such a bloated
Seven
movie.
Samurai length for a, fucking Home Alone plot.
for-
Not even.
For Scooby-Doo and the
Homeward Bound
13th
plot.
Ghost level plot.
Yeah, for real.
We gotta find our seven sacraments in order to defeat the clown.
We gotta find the 7 artifacts to defeat the evil cult.
Well, I got Stanley's. Rest in peace, Stanley. Director of the
God.
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And so, Ari Aster joins the Marvel Cinematic Universe, here to direct.
Would you see an Ari Aster directed Marvel movie? I
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say
would-
I actually wouldn't. Yeah,
I would have to take a hard stance and say no. 'Cause,
I would have to take I'd take the knee.
It's not an Ari Aster movie at that point. It's just so far. It's no.
Yeah, I mean people praise Thor Ragnarok, but it's like
It's not a Taika Waititi. I mean, it is, but
it is, but it's a Marvel movie first.
yeah, it's a thing. It's a very successful, famous intellectual property, and Taika Waititi did a funny thing with it.
I will back up and say if Marvel movies actually let them just do whatever the fuck they want,
Yeah,
I would see an Ari Aster. I would see an Ari Aster superhero movie, and if they let him use their intellectual properties, fine.
I am inspired by the spirit of the new Joker movie, of it being kind of DCEU just being well, throw spaghetti at the wall. Fuck it. We're just fucking up left and right here.
Yeah,
It's not going to be good, But I think that's the spirit. You know what I mean?
I will say, as much as I don't see DCU movies because I don't care about superheroes, because I am almost 30.
Yeah, same. I'm an adult.
I am an adult.
Hello.
And if I'm going to watch a cartoon, it's going to be OKKO.
Yeah.
If I'm going to watch a cartoon, it's going to be 10 minutes long.
If I'm gonna watch a cartoon, it's gonna placate my adult undiagnosed ADHD.
And reference 90s cartoons that I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't care. I'm not gonna go see them, but I do at least admire that the DCEU seems to just constantly be just doing fucking whatever they want, and it's not working. But God bless.
God bless.
Like I wish superhero movies had that kind of chaotic energy, because like back when superhero movies were first getting big, that's what made them kind of interesting.
Yeah, it felt like, I don't know. It was hyper capitalistic, but it was different. You know, they were kind of sort of learning how to make movies. They didn't figure it out. I don't think
They let Sam Raimi make Spider-Man 3.
that was great. That was a great decision. Actually, no regrets there.
Superhero movies peaked with Spider-Man 3.
Real shit.
People be like, "Bleh, Logan," and I say, "Blow me."
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I haven't seen Logan, so I don't know if it's actually good or not. I'm probably never gonna see it.
I am never gonna watch Logan. I have no curiosity. I'm sorry. I don't care how good you think it is. Don't care. But what I do care about is cinema. And thank you for joining us on this
At the cinema.
at the cinema. Film Critters at the cinema.
On movies.
On movies. I give Midsommar 2 popcorn shakers out of a possible
and a
7.
And a bag of nutritional yeast.
Yeah.
I give Ari Aster's Midsummer's director's cut the cut above the rest.
All right. Well, we're delirious.
Yeah, we've this is literally the 3rd episode of Film Critter shit we've recorded today.
Yeah, for real.
So don't ever say we don't earn our Patreon dollars.
Don't say we didn't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check us out on Patreon. We have a lot of exclusive episodes that go up on there of us reviewing retrospective films. We have one about A Scanner Darkly
coming up. Yeah, coming out
this month. And thanks so much for listening and watching.
Thank you to all our Patreons.
Yeah.
Patreons also get to hear these 3 days before.
Oh, yeah, true.
And much like the old how many days in a week thread, we don't really know how to count. We don't know if you count the day it's posted or the day after.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that. That's a secret.
That's our little secret. Somebody's gonna eventually point out, like,
how many days are in a week?
It's gonna eventually point out that it fluctuates what the 3rd day actually is, because we haven't decided.
How many weeks are in a month? All right.
I love when you put that video on. It's just like, this is us. This is us uploading to Film Critters Patreon.
Oh my god. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you Ari Aster. And Florence Pugh.
For making movies.
And Jack. And everybody. Will.
See you on the flip side. That's what we say now.
That's what we say now.
That's what we say now. See you on
the motherfucking flip side.
And we're
bitch
off.
And
good night and good luck.
And cut.
And that's a wrap.
And I hate myself.
It's been real, but spelt REEL.
Yeah, and I'm ready for Oblivion.
All right, bye.